Now there is a question of 14-mark question. How successful was Pakistan in its relation with India from between 1947 and 1999? You can see the pointers, successes as well as the failure. Now before starting the relation with any country, let me clear you that there are some countries we have more successes compared to the failures, but in case of India, we have more, what we can say, failures as compared to successes beta. Now let's just point out the things which became the successes or the failures. So there is a list written over here. You can see the first success between Pakistan and India regarding to their relationships, agreement regarding border between East Bengal and Assam 1948. When Pakistan and India came into being, there was a border issue and that was peacefully solved, and that was towards the East Pakistan. The East Bengal and Assam borders were settled down through the dialogues, through the agreement, and it was the East Pakistan, their East Bengal and Assam, the East Pakistan was separated from there. Minorities Agreement 1950. Now this agreement, as I have explained you, I have told you when I was teaching you Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan, this Minorities Agreement was signed between the Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan and the Prime Minister of India known as Jawaharlal Nehru. And that agreement was signed, and the little bit explanation written over here. This agreement was signed between the two countries to give the physical and religious protection of the respective minorities in their respective countries beta. Apart from large-scale migration from India and Pakistan, still there was a large number of religious minorities left in both the countries. To protect minorities, to encourage them to stay in their respective countries, a minorities agreement was signed between Liaquat Ali Khan Nehru in 1950. And the main concern to give the religious, the physical protection to the respective minorities in Pakistan and India, and to stop the killings which was going on during the migration, and to give security to the refugees so they can cross the border safely. Now after this one, there was another success, and that success is this one, Minorities Agreement and Simla Accord in 1972. And that agreement signed between Pakistan and India at Simla, President Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, that accord was signed, and according to that, 90,000 the soldiers which were arrested, Pakistani soldiers which were arrested by India back in the war 1971. So that prisoners was released, but what we can say, the second half of this, the second part of the Simla agreement was like this, that Pakistan will not raise the issue of Kashmir on international forums. So somewhat it was a success and somewhat it was a failure regarding to the Kashmir issue. Now when I say the successes, you can see the failures beta. Now one of the failure, the Kashmir, is still going on beta. This is the biggest failure between Pakistan and India, the biggest issue, the biggest conflict that created, you can say, a tense situation between Pakistan and India. And this Kashmir, not yet solved, is still a disputed territory. And on the name of Kashmir, we had 3 wars with India back in 1960, 1948, 1965 and 1999. That 1971 war was basically fought on the name of East Pakistan, and that was separated by India and now became Bangladesh in 1971. Now another very big concern, a big threat beta, nuclear arms weapon. Both countries are having the nuclear arms weapons, and that is not good for Pakistan as well as for India beta. Now this nuclear arm race first started by India. As I've told you, first they had nuclear tests back in Rajasthan in 1974, and after that Pakistan started their nuclear program, and on 1998, 28th May, Pakistan declared himself as the nuclear power. Again, that was in the retaliation of India, but again for the both developing nation, this nuclear arm races is not in the favor, but we have to do this thing in, you can say, for our security, for our integrity, nuclear armed weapons. Now, aftermath of the Indira Gandhi's assassination, she was assassinated in 1984, and that again, India blamed Pakistan that they have done this thing, and then again the relation became tense. And in 1987, India set their forces on the Pakistani borders, and we again we had our forces, and that was basically, that conflict was turned down by the president, what we can say, General Ziaul Haq. So do remember this conflict, Kargil conflict, somewhat of war in the name of Kashmir, and this Kargil conflict was basically, or Kargil war was led by General Pervez Musharraf, but finally that was ended in a failure. But what we can say overall, what we can say, or you can see one of the 7-mark question, why did Pakistan distress India so much between 1971 and 1988? So you can see Pakistan was unhappy with Simla agreement signed with India following the war of 1971. In return to release the 90,000 prisoners of war, Pakistan agreed not to pursue a solution to the Kashmir problem in international forums. This annoyed Pakistan, which sought a solution through the United Nations. Pakistan also shocked at India nuclear tests in 1974. It raised real fears that its neighbor had a nuclear capability. Now, relation became even worse when India suspected that Pakistan was training Sikh extremists when Indira Gandhi was assassinated by a Sikh in 1984. Let me tell you, this Indira Gandhi assassination by their Sikh, what we can say, the bodyguard, and she was killed, assassinated by this Sikh bodyguard, and that issue was the issue of Khalistan. You know, in Indian Punjab, there was a separatist group who wanted that Indian Punjab to be separated from India, and again, once again, India blamed Pakistan. In early 1980s, the struggle for establishment of a separate Sikh state, Khalistan, started by the Sikh separatist group. In October 1984, Indira Gandhi, the Indian Prime Minister, was killed by the Sikh group. Son of Indira Gandhi, an Indian Prime Minister, accused Pakistan for providing assistance to the Sikh separatists and also involved Pakistan in the murder of Indira Gandhi. So that issue of Khalistan, let me tell you, this Khalistan, again, that was a separatist group, and they wanted Indian Punjab to be separated, led by the Sikhs. So do remember that blame went wrong, or again Pakistan was given the blame. But let me tell you, this again an issue of Siachen Glacier in 1984. Siachen Glacier, which is one of the largest glaciers of the world, located in the north of Kashmir, of the joint border of Pakistan, China and Pakistan, China and Pakistan, was captured by India in 1984. Both India and Pakistan were seen to be a brink of another war, with Pakistani and Indian armies fighting an undeclared war on Siachen Beta. So in short, we can say the relation with India is not good. We have more, what we can say, the failures compared to the successes. Now, move on to the second relation, and that relation is with Pakistan relation with China. Now, for the first time, the 14-mark question came in November 2018. So this year it is not so important. How successful was the Pakistan in its relation with China between 1947 and 1999? Give reason for your answer. Now you can see, as I've told you, whenever there's a word of successful in the question, a very simple approach that in one paragraph you just jot down the successes, in the second paragraph you jot down the less successes or the failures, and the third paragraph, that will be the paragraph of evaluation. So do remember, when I go through with the China, so support for China joining the UN in 1952, following China's support for Pakistan Kashmir policy, showed the two countries were willing to work together. 1952, support for China. Pakistan supported China when they joined UNO in 1952, and even China, even today, supported the Kashmir policy, and that shows the two things, a great friendship between the two countries. Border issues settled in 1963. Agreement showed the two countries were looking to the future rather than the past. So do remember again the border issues was settled. Boundaries issues in 1963. That was a Tibet boundary. Pakistan and China have what we can say. We have the neighboring country. So 1963 through negotiation it was settled. So it doesn't matter. Now. Trade developed in 1960 a $60 million long-term investment free loan regarding import of machinery. China permitted Pakistan International Airlines to use any Chinese airport in 1963, increasing movement and trade between the countries. Increased number of visitors from China, journalists, engineers, scientists, etc. Still coming today. Now, China gave Pakistan full support during the 1965 war with India, including military aid, which indicated the strong relationship between, in both terms, in the money or the weapons. In 1978, now the great thing happened, that 1978, Karakoram Highway provided the first road link and opened two countries up to the trade and tourism. And when we talk about the recent the development, in recent development, we can say this Karakoram Highway now extended, and you can see we are making now CPAC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that is basically the extension, and now this Karakoram Highway will be connected, what we can say will be connected through what we can say to the southernmost part of Pakistan, that is the Gwadar seaport, and opening of the rest of the countries. In 1986, a nuclear power treaty was signed indicating the wish of two countries to be the allies and work together. Now, less successes or the failure that was in the past. In 1958-59, Pakistan was developing closer relation with USA that was disliked by the China and voted against the China admission to UNO, and first Pakistan supported, then on the call in 1958-59, and you know in China there is a communism going on and USA basically working against the communism. So on the orders of USA, we just voted against China admission of the UNO and condemned China military involvement in Tibet. During the 1970 war, China could not offer less support to Pakistan due to the pressure from USSR and China. Now that time, USSR supported India, and USSR threatened China in case of support to Pakistan.